Hey, today I want to talk about death, divorce, guns, assets, family assets. The two D's that people really don't want to deal with, right? Divorce and death. And the reason I'm going to do this is because we are running into this more and more here in our business. People are coming in with assets, particularly in this business, that's firearms and guns. But I'm not an attorney, first of all. I did work for an attorney for a number of years. Got into law school, and when I was clerking, I decided I really don't want to go to law school. And the reason I didn't want to go to law school is what I'm going to tell you now. So my job primarily was to sit down when people were going over their financial affidavits. Or, basically you'll get a couple. It used to be paper. Right now it's all done electronically. You type it in. Exactly the same process, though, right? You sit down, you go through the assets of a person, both assets and liabilities, right? What's in the bank? What are the debts? Assets, hard assets, cars, real property, guns, valuables, collectibles, those types of things. And then particularly people who have certain things that they want to hang a hold on, like grandma's lamp, which was one of the things that made me decide I didn't want to go to law school, which was an argument over grandma's lamp. Whatever is more important than one person or the other becomes a point of contention for a lot of folks. Now, if there's somebody who has a lot of animosity in that relationship, sometimes they will say they want things only because it is an irritation to the other person. And quite often in divorce, unless it's an amicable divorce, quite often they are not. By the way, attorneys, feel free to share this with your clients because they need to see this. But quite often when it's an amicable, let's just focus on amicable divorce right now. When it's that scenario, people are a little easier to let go of assets. They're a little easier to let go of things. But when there's a lot of animosity, one side against the other, and this applies to death also, so I'm going to get there as well. But when there's death in the family, quite often one person has animosity, the other just wants out. I was divorced 26 years ago. I had no animosity, really. I just wanted out. Now, the child custody was something different for me, but I didn't care what she had. Like, I just give her whatever. We didn't have a lot of assets at that time anyway, but when there's someone who has a lot of animosity and they know that grandma's lamp is important to you, or they know that your firearms collection is important to you and you've collected these during the marriage, those things are then a marital asset. And the person who knows that's important to you, if they have animosity, they may say they have some attachment to those as well. The truth of the matter is most states now have gone to equitable distribution. Now, this is not true in every state, so you need to talk with your attorney. But they'll look at marital assets, things that were purchased during the marriage, and they will try to equally split up those things and get rid of them. Now, if you have grandma's lamp, like, this lady had her husband had grandma's lamp inside his home, and she was hell-bent on getting grandma's lamp, which I don't know if she did or not, because this was the day I quit. I sat down and listened to an argument for 20 minutes over grandma's lamp. But if you have assets that are premarital assets, you have grandpa's shotgun, maybe grandma's shotgun. You have grandpa's shotgun. You have things that you owned and you used. They were yours before the marriage. Usually that's considered a premarital asset. Now, some states, after so many years, they will say, well, in this state, you've been married 10 years or 20 years, whatever that limitation is. This is now a marital asset. And there's some truth to that, right? But if it's, in my opinion, my opinion doesn't matter when it comes to judges. Judges are going to do what they're going to do. They're going to follow the law. You've been married 20 years now, but your grandpa's lamp, your grandpa's gun or grandma's lamp is now a part of that marital asset. So we have to decide what to do with it. So I'm going to address guns, and this is applicable to if there's a death in the family or if there is a divorce. Most things can be replaced. The hardest thing to do when you are looking at marital assets, and it takes a lot of time, let's say somebody has 100 guns or 100 lamps, is assigning a value to those things. Because some things, the value goes beyond monetary. It goes into what's the memories attached to that? What's the emotional value of those items? Well, you really can't put that when it's divorce and you got a judge and attorneys looking at each other. All they really care about is let's crunch the numbers, let's get down to the bottom line, because they're going to charge you hourly anyway. And if you're arguing over how much value that pistol has, whether it's $400 or $300, and you argue over it for a half an hour, well, you just paid that attorney $400 an hour to argue over the gun. Not a smart move. My advice to anyone who is looking at divorce with assets is to try your best to divorce yourself from the assets themselves and get an expert in that area to liquidate them for you. Now, this is particularly related to death and wills when there was no pre-arranged ideas about what should be done with assets. Now, you can look at this with cars, your motorcycles, houses, real property. The same thing applies. Quite often we will see, especially when it's in death, you will see auction companies come in and they want to, they have a process, right? We're going to come in and we're going to tag everything. We're going to put these assets in. Most auctions are absolute auctions, right? So whatever it sells for, there may be a buyer's premium, there may not be a buyer's premium, there may be a seller's premium, there may not be a seller's premium, but regardless, that auction company is going to get their percentage of that no matter what happens. If it rains, if it doesn't rain, people show up, people don't show up based on how it was advertised, based on whether it's 100 miles out of town or whether it's 5 miles out of town. Like, people go to auctions because they want to. A lot of times it's not serious investors. Now, sometimes it is, but a lot of times it's not serious investors going to look at your guns. It's somebody thought, oh, there's guns at this auction, I'm going to go see what's there. So you are limited to 1 or 2 days, depending on how big the auction is, how many assets are being put in there. Usually it's 1 day. I mean, auctioneers want to get started and get done. They want to get out of there. They want to get their percentage, and they're going to get a fixed percentage no matter what your gun brings if it's an absolute auction. So, and I'm talking fast. I want to fit all this in, and I don't want you to get too bored either. But there is not a lot of time, especially in an auction process, to let something bring the higher value. Let something bring the value that it's actually worth. And oftentimes when you're in divorce, people are so pitted against each other, they lose their mind about what the real value is, and they should just be willing to go, something, let's let an expert in this field figure out what the value is. Let's let those things be liquidated. Let's take the liquid cash, because most people are okay with liquid cash. Let's take the liquid asset of that, and then let's divide it. Now, that is a lot less likely to happen when it is in a divorce scenario. I'm going to pull off of that now and just talk about death in the family. There is both unexpected death in the family, and there are times when the death is expected. But if there's not an advance directive by the person who died about what to do with particular assets, somebody may say, hey, I'm particularly interested in that Walther handgun, like I really want that. And if another brother, another sister, another uncle, another relative decides they want the same handgun, then you have two people arguing over it. And other times, you'll have somebody who's a complete liberal in the family and thinks that all the guns should be done away with, and you'll have someone else who wants some of the guns, and they can't see eye to eye. And this has happened. This has happened to us. It's happened right here in our office. People, different sides of the family, view handguns and rifles completely differently, so they cannot agree on what to do. So there's only one way that I know of to get top dollar, eliminate the argument, and come to a reasonable conclusion. Now, if you have some of those family heirlooms that there is an emotional attachment to because you went hunting with grandpa and you love the rifle or you love the shotgun and you just can't bear to part with it, that makes this tough. But if the parties can come together and agree, like even the liberal and the conservative that think, we can liquidate these things, the most reasonable thing to do is to let an expert run the guns through the software, see what they're selling for, see what the current asset will bring on a fair market value, and then let those things be liquidated through a process where you're going to get top dollar for it. You're not stuck to having to go to a single day for an auction, maybe a 2-day auction, where you hope the weather's good, you hope people show up, you hope collectors show up, you hope somebody really wants to pay top dollar for that because they get in some kind of a bidding war. But I've been to some bids when it rained, or been to some auctions when it rained, and there was not enough bids because people just were not there. So you had 10 people bidding on property, and you didn't get a premium dollar for it. And at an absolute auction, that is catastrophic for the family. So if you are liquidating antique cars, or you're liquidating motorcycles. The best person to liquidate those for you is someone that is in that business who knows it well. They can sell it. They can look at the adjusted value, current market value of it, of the car, of the motorcycle. The same thing with firearms. Same thing with heirlooms. Same thing with art. You know, we're looking at Sotheby's right now for something that we have. Sotheby's is a massive heirloom family collection, art type, sculpture type company that liquidates things that are family heirlooms. For guns, it's the same way. You want to run that through some software. You want to know what those particular items have sold for over the last 2 years. You want to know what state they sold in, because the value of each state is different. Like, you know, particular guns bring a lot more money out in Montana and Wyoming and Utah and North Dakota than they do in the Southeast, because regionally different people sell, people want high caliber hunting rifles out west because you have elk, moose, mule deer, those types of things. Southeast, Tennessee, your average shot's about 60 to 100 yards. Out west, it may be in excess of 400 to 600 yards. So it's a big difference. And your gun dealer will know that much better. And if you have someone like us who has a web presence, right now I think we have 48,000 guns on our website. We have just about as many as Gunbroker does. You have a place where you can put those things out on the web. You can let them sit there for a period of time until hunting season rolls back around in Montana. Somebody in Montana may want your 300 Win Mag. They may order the gun. It's a much, much, much better process than trying to go through an auction or a liquidation of family assets. Try not to argue. It's really hard. I know, especially if there's animosity in a divorce, that becomes particularly hard if somebody knows that you are attached to an item or attached to a collection or attached to certain things. They want their pound of flesh, right? But try to get in that scenario. Try your best to use an expert to do these things for you, and find someone honest, someone who has a reputation of doing asset liquidation, someone who has a reputation for dealing with assets from estates, because that's particularly of importance as well. Keeping records, making sure that the money is allocated properly, that there's records to show what things were sold for. I hope this helps. I know the divorce and death are two things that nobody wants to go through or talk about, but unfortunately, a lot of us experience it. We all experience death in the family at some point. Do us this favor, like and subscribe. We try our best to bring you some good content. Thanks.